Okay, I thought I'd make this video about the Yuan 3D object generator, which actually I think is better than the Microsoft Trellis one. The Yuan, I think that's how you pronounce it. That's made by Tencent, who own TikTok, I think. I could be wrong. So this is actually just I'm in Krita using Stable Diffusion to generate a load of different tanks to run one of them through the Yuan 3D generator. So let me just stop, because they both use comfyui, both the Yuan 3D generator and the Stable Diffusion implementation. Let me just stop it in here. So right, and then let me just pause the video briefly. So this is comfyui. Let's put 3D actually. The hunyuan, however you pronounce it. This is their example. And I found the texturing not great. And so my idea was just get it to generate the geometry. So zoom in. And we'll upload the image. So we got the tank, okay. There's this whole UV unwrapping that it does, and I'm just going to ignore it because basically it can generate 50,000 faces, polygons, triangles, maybe quads, I'm not entirely sure. But if you go, which is okay, but we think it can actually go up to, if you go up to something like 15 or 1 million or 1,500,000. So is that right? That's right. Yeah. So and the problem is that the unwrapping doesn't work, but it gives us a higher detailed model, right? Which is what I want. I found that our 1,500,000 is the maximum it can imagine. To put it any other better way. So let's give it a go. Start it off. I will put a link on how to install this in the GitHub. This is what they call a comfyui wrapper, in that the AI stuff was developed before, but they've now made it work within this workflow. You can see you can customize. It's got a bit doing the texturing, which you can bypass. But I'm just concerned really with the model generation. So let's generate. And if we go to the console, which you can do two ways, it's actually minimized down there, but you can also show it like this. You can see what's going on. Also, sometimes it takes a while. We've got a problem. When it's red like that, that means we've got a problem, and it's because it's not properly pathed, I don't think. So we still need to just get this dit v2. So dit v2, is that one? 16, so this one here. There we go. Give it another go now. And you see that goes away. Because sometimes the workflows, they've put the model that was developed by them, trained and all that. So they might be in the wrong place within the comfyui install. So sometimes you have to. You might have downloaded it to the wrong place. But anyway, it's not. I say I don't really want this to be a video about how to install comfyui, more just to show you what's possible, and sort of continuing on with, like, should modelers be worried about AI? I think, well, the thing about it is, it's just once you've got this workflow set up, once the model's loaded, I'd say it takes maybe a few minutes to load, but once it's loaded and working, you can just keep banging out, just keep loading up different images, different of things that you want in 3D, and make a sort of mesh, almost like a base mesh, if you like, or a ZBrush sculpt is probably a way to think about it. So you're going to have to do, obviously, rework it, but just the ability of creating a sort of we'll see how good the model turns out to be in a second. Let's just see the console again, and it'll show you in the console where it's still thinking about it. So what I like to do is sometimes just check the graphics card, or rather check that it's quite low, that it's doing stuff. The Python part is the, whenever you run any of this sort of AI stuff, it's using Python to drive it all, and so you can see what's normally going on with your memory filling up and your CPU and your disk doing stuff. So oh, there he is. He's going off and processing. Done it right. Okay. And it'll get to a certain point. So now that that's loaded up, it's generated the mask automatically. Okay, it's generated it's done the textures. Crikey, did that actually work? The albedo, a delit. I'm curious to know if I'm surprised that actually worked, because it's probably, well, although it's done the delit thing, it hasn't done the UVs, and it'll be the UVs which will suddenly complain, because let's say the unwrap only ever works at 50,000, so it'll get to it's probably having a think about doing the unwrap, and then it will complain, and then it'll just skip along past bits it can't do and write out the GLB file. So I think it's still doing stuff. So this is the bit here. It will go. I'm quite sure what that. I think this is the actual model generation part now. Let's go back to the interface. And so sometimes you can see where it's green is doing stuff. You see, it's doing. This is the actual mesh generation part. We might get a little preview in here of the thing. Although I found the viewport a bit weird to navigate. Okay, here it's complaining. So it's generated 1,168,000. It's saying I can't unwrap it, but my PC is spinning up, so I know it's still doing stuff. I can hear the fans go. Let's just check the thing. So I reckon it's probably written that file out. Let's check. Refresh. There we go. It's the 3D folder. Here's the object, and there's the tank. So, and that might all seem a bit. Oh, these words don't look so great. But the cool thing is you can just keep blasting out. Now that it's all loaded up and everything, it'll be a lot faster. Although, as I say, it kind of we've now got an issue of it hanging at the unwrapping thing. So I've found that, but I thought let's just crank it up. I'll show you the next issue that we have, because the thing is I thought, well, let's see if we can line up using the paid add-on GeoTracker. And if we go open, clip open, and then we'll go right, we'll select the tank, and then we'll go, okay, that's fine, start pinning. It should work. Why am I not working? There we go. So here's the tank model, and you can see instantly. You will be able to see the problem that I'm having is that it just doesn't line up, because the actual AI perspective isn't 100%, right? There's a bit of AI jank, and it doesn't line up. And that's it. Initially, I thought, oh, maybe it's just I've got my lens. Oh, that's actually not. Oh no, is that looking too bad? It's quite a dense mesh. It's sort of. I did want to crank it up to see, but you can see no matter how hard I try, you try and once you get to a certain point, you can't seem to get it any better, right? So unfortunately, this method that I was hoping would be a super time saver. Once you basically retopologize the mesh, right, and have a nice clean mesh, then you could use the original AI artwork to generate the textures. But as it is, I think the way to do it would be to render out a render pass depth and line art, and then in Krita regenerate it using the control net to generate so the perspectives match exactly. Because even if you put the camera estimated focal length, even if you do that, it still doesn't work because it's AI, right? Because it's got the AI jankness that it looks sort of right, but when you really scrutinize it, and this is the problem with AI stuff, it's like when you really scrutinize it, to the average layman they might not notice, but to someone who spends day in and day out, creating images or whatever. Going back into our camera, it doesn't line up, and you see it's pretty dense mesh, I mean, the sort of 1 million is probably overdoing it, but it doesn't line up 100%. And let's zoom into. You see the light doesn't line. It doesn't matter what you'll do. You'll try, and it's just because it's not actually, the perspective is slightly wrong. So look at the gutter thing. Anyway, that's the issue I'm having. So as I say, you could I could set up a depth pass. Let me just do that. Just so I can show you what I'm going on about. Layers, mist, wasn't it? Let's just see if we get it in EV. Mist, yeah, we do. Right, okay, and then we need to set up our camera and use the camera display mist. And then if we get out of the camera for a sec, and then we can see that weird little, the thing that I've shown in previous videos. The if you go to the world thing, you can set the mist distance, right? I think I'll just try the depth on its own, and because I remember the line art thing was also was Ben calls it freehand. I think it was a bit of a pain in the ass to set up. Okay, so let's just render that. Okay, let's go combine mist. So there's the mist. Let's go save that. Over to Krita. File open. Krita is also using comfyui. It can't use. We're going to have to close one of the comfyui things if I want to start the AI-ness on Krita. So let's do that. Let's get rid of that. And we don't need the workflow anymore. So we can get rid of that. Okay. Leave. Okay. Configure. And then we launch. Because they basically use, it's a sort of web server that you're using, and so you can only really have one instance of comfyui or sort of stable diffusion working if you're using the web thing. So anyway, let's add a layer, and we'll change that to depth. Why is that the case? Did I not install it? Let's have a look. Depth. Not installed. Okay, install. There we go. And this goes. These can be quite large. Anywhere from a couple of gig to 20 gig. Sometimes some of the models. So it starts. If you mess around a lot with this, the AI stuff, you'll find that the models can get really big, and just chomp through your hard disk space. It's something to be aware of. And so we've got upscalers as well that we can install. And off it goes. Is it starting? Okay, we're good. Right, so now that we've got that depth, let's invert the image first of all. Just invert. Okay, so now we can just go tank and generate, see what happens. I mean, you could use the upscaler, right? So to try and get a bit more definition. This also, again, it always takes a couple of minutes, I've found, for the AI models to get loaded. I guess it's shifting the file off disk into your graphics card memory, and if it's a really large model, that can take some time. Come on. Okay, we're going to just pick one that's the most appropriate. I mean, if we said like tank in snow, what the hell? That's a bit weird. Okay. I mean, maybe trying the that's a bit odd. I think maybe it's maybe worth looking at the canny then, or the the line art thing. Let's see if I can set that up while it's busy doing that. EV. Freehand, enable that, and then it's under compositing, and then we want to go to freehand as render pass. So compositor, use nodes. Let's zoom in on that, and we want freestyle. And again, we might have to do like some invert or something. Freestyle, mist, pass. There we go. Right. Image, save. And then over to Krita, file open, put a solid white layer underneath, flatten it, so if we get the paint bucket, flatten that, and we'll go tank again. Tank, see if this, and you know, you can use multiple control nets, these things. Scribble, we want that line art, paint layer, tank. Okay, go. This should be quite quick now, I think, because the model should be loaded, he says. Come on. But you can see the thing is that now the perspectives, there's no weird perspective in the jank or AI jank, because we have an actual 3D model, right? I am skipping over the fact that it sort of has to be re-topologized, and you know, but I just thought it was kind of an interesting idea, and I think it's probably, as time goes on, it will become more okay. I'm just curious to see how well this stuff lines up. What we can do also, while it's doing that, perhaps Control A, copy, and then go to the other one and go paste there. So we will add another control net. This is what I mean about stacking them. You see, line art. As I say, I have described this in another video. Let's see if this improves things. Line art, generate. I mean, I'm wondering maybe do it at 2K or upscale it perhaps, if that makes things more angular. Because these are quite, it's like when it's curved like that, it's a bit like, that's not right, is it? This seems to make it more defined. I mean, that's a bit, yeah, rounded, isn't it? Anyway, I just need to take one of these, I guess, and then chuck it into Blender. Just to set up the projections. Now this is all kind of unorthodox. This isn't the sort of standard way of doing stuff at all. But it's sort of, you know, as techniques sort of develop. Let's just go with this one. Image save into Blender. We'll select the object, give it a material. It is actually a lot denser than I thought it was. Let's go with create, edit, project UVs, project from the camera. We've got no UVs on the actual object, so let's create some UVs. And then to the modifier, select the UV, right, select the camera, okay. And set the resolution to 1024, it is 10, right, okay. So now all we need to do is go to the shader. And this should be done on the, obviously, the retopologized model. I'm just doing it for speed's sake. Okay, so see how that looks. Textured. That worked a lot better. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to bake, right? And it's only gonna work. And it's only gonna work one half of the thing. I mean, that was the cool thing about the AI textures. It kind of imagined the other side and everything that we can't see, but my thinking is you only need to do one half and then you can mirror over to the other side, right? But the lineup's great. I mean, I guess it was bound to work, and you could obviously we could swap it out with all the other different. You see, it doesn't obviously work this side, but if you cut the model down the middle, and mirror it, you know, as I say, sort of, I'm skipping the retopologizing thing, which is a whole, like, you know, that's a big thing, really. I mean, it was just exploring ideas, and you know, this sort of stuff. I mean, for that, how much time it took. Okay, the model's kind of junk, but as I say, think of it more like a ZBrush sculpt that you then are going to have to retopologize, and then, you know, and if you need to, you know, have variations or something, I don't know, a mech, or I mean, you can actually plug the image generator, like any AI image generator within comfyui, into the object generator and do it all within the thing, right? So I just, you know, gave it an image that I'd already generated in Krita, but you could set up an image generator to do it. So I think I'll stop the video there. It's a bit rambly, but it was just I still okay. It's still not quite there. I think was it Grant Abbott made a fair point that the AI stuff is kind of it's not it's not really ready for prime time. It's because it still needs work doing. But it's sort of thing you might be able to make it work for your workflow. Okay, that's it.